Have you ever caught yourself drawn to chaos, knowing it could destroy you, but stepping closer anyway? What if that pull wasn't weakness, but something ancient, something built into the human soul, older than reason or morality? Today, we enter the devil's game where temptation isn't a flaw, but a mirror. Why do we flirt with danger? Why does destruction feel divine? The answers aren't just psychological. They're spiritual, mythic, and terrifyingly human. Let's begin. From the dawn of civilization, humanity has been obsessed with the edge. We built pyramids, scaled mountains, created stories of gods, monsters, tricksters, and demons, not to scare ourselves, but to understand the dark corners of our soul. Because chaos is magnetic. It pulls you in, promising transformation and power, and often delivers collapse and confusion. In the ancient myths, the figure of the trickster or the devil embodies that magnetic chaos. Loki, Hermes, Satan, Pan, Coyote, they're the agents of upheaval. They break rules, reveal hidden truths, and shake the foundations of the consciousness of consciousness. We worship them in our stories because we need them. We need to dismantle ordered reality, to rebuild it, to wake up. Today, chaos seduces us in modern forms. It's the allure of scandal, the viral outrage, the extreme sport, the shocking clickbait. We know it tears us apart, but we still click. We still take risks. We still feel alive for a second when we stare into the abyss. That momentary jolt reminds us we're not just comfortable creatures. We're seekers, rebels, explorers of our own shadow. So why do we play with fire? Why do we flirt with danger, even emotionally? Because chaos is a mirror. It shows us our hidden power, our deepest wounds, our primal impulses. It strips away pretense. When everything collapses, we have to reassess who we are. That's the hidden gift of destruction. If we survive it, we're reborn, initiated, untamed. But not everyone survives. That's the trick. That's where the devil's game becomes lethal. Chaos is seductive, but it's not kind. It doesn't negotiate. It exposes the unintegrated parts of your psyche and society, your rage, your fear, your falsehoods. It feeds on fragmentation. And if you don't contain the fire, it burns you from the inside out, leaving trauma, addiction, and division. This psycho-spiritual dynamic plays out inside every one of us. We crave excitement, intensity, and extremity. Our shadow longs for liberation. We're drawn to behaviors we know aren't healthy because they feel real. Because the mundane, the safe, the predictable numbs us. We need the wild to remember we're alive. But here's the catch. Not all chaos is created equal. There's destructive chaos, reckless, blind, self-sabotaging. And there's sacred chaos, catalytic upheaval that serves evolution, creativity, and self-realization. Think of the alchemists who burned their labs to remove impurities, or artists who smashed their old identities before reinventing themselves. That kind of chaos is purposeful. It's ritual, not ruin. When we enter the devil's game knowingly, with consciousness, with intention, we step into a threshold of deep transformation. We integrate our shadow, we expand our boundaries, we unleash dormant energy. When we fall into it blindly, from repressed rage or self-hate, we fuel addiction, trauma, and collapse. So, how do we know the difference? It begins with awareness, with asking ourselves, why am I drawn to this chaos? Is it destructive thrill or creative emergence? We can track our energy. Notice the vibration. If it leaves you ashamed, defeated, fractured, danger. If it leaves you raw, expanded, alive, you may be dancing with something sacred. Chaos is a threshold guardian. It asks, you have the strength to question your truth, stability to watch your world fall apart, and still hold yourself intact. That kind of inner resilience isn't born in calm waters, it's forged in storms. The devil's game is less a trap than a teacher if we play intelligently. In many spiritual traditions, chaos is sacred. Taoism calls the primordial state Wuji, limitless, unformed. In Kabbalah, the chaos before creation is the source from which the cosmos arises. Sufism tempts the mystic into fana, annihilation of the ego, before begetting union with the divine. These traditions revere the chaos demon as the passageway to ascent, but there's always a devil's cost. That's why it's a game, not a path. A path is slow and steady. A game is seductive, risky, and unpredictable. If mastery is the goal, we must play, but not get played. We must choose the chaos that awakens, not annihilates. And here's the final irony. The safest choice may actually be to play, not in denial, but in courage. The greatest liberation comes from consciously stepping into the unknown, inviting the shadow to dance with the light in ourselves. It's the ultimate rebellion, turning our fear of the void into ours alone. So stay with me. For the next part, we'll dive into 3 powerful ways chaos shows up in our lives, and how we can choose it consciously, without collapse. How we can dance with the devil and keep our soul. Chaos enters our lives in unmistakable forms. It doesn't knock politely, it barges in, unannounced, topping our headlines and bleeding into our brainwaves. Let's explore 3 powerful faces of this chaos. First, social chaos, the outrage economy. We scroll, we gasp, we share, and immediately we feel alive. Our adrenaline spikes, our moral circuits light up, and we connect in our collective anger and alarm. But what are we feeding? A digital firestorm. Our minds become brittle. We mistake virality for truth, likes for belonging, and outrage for meaning. We feel powerful until we don't. Second is emotional chaos, the seduction of toxicity. We get addicted to drama in our relationships, in our inner loops. We provoke tension, then justify our behavior as awareness. We feel something. Any feeling beats numb spaciousness. Yet the deeper our emotional storms, the more we mistake self-sabotage for depth. We mistake volatility for authenticity. Third is existential chaos, the deep inner collapse of meaning. We're raised on purpose-driven narratives. Follow your passion, live your truth. But when the inevitable fragmentation hits, midlife crisis, burnout, loss, we're not prepared. Our belief structures collapse, leaving us exposed, unmoored, alone. That existential storm is elevation, if we let it be, but most of us flee. We grab distraction, comfort, and temporary fixes. And then the storm returns, louder, darker. These 3 forces, social, emotional, existential, are the modern avatars of that old archetype, the devil. They offer sensation, they offer a sense of being alive, yet they devour us if we don't hold a bigger container. The question isn't whether they'll come, it's whether we'll recognize them and choose them wisely. So, how do we enter the devil's game without losing ourselves? Here are 3 compass points. 1. Set intentional thresholds. Ritualize your engagement. You don't check the news, you set a time, you enter with purpose, you leave with awareness. You don't indulge drama, you witness it, you process it, you step away. You don't chase emotional storms, you notice them, breathe through them, ask, what is surfacing here? What wants to emerge? When existential chaos hits, you don't run for reassurance. You sit with the collapse. You feel the unraveling. You ask, what deeper truth is rising through the pain too? Build inner reservoirs. Chaos doesn't break systems built for flexibility. Meditation, journaling, breathwork, movement, these are inner fortifications. They don't make the storm stop, but they give you the capacity to witness, digest, and integrate. Over time, your nervous system becomes spacious, not reactionary. It becomes soft, not brittle. It learns to dance, not defend. 3. Seek sacred allies. Don't face chaos alone. Storytelling circles, safe, sacred spaces, mentors, guides, these are your community anchors. When the devil comes, you don't collapse in isolation. You surrender into ritual contained within love. You hold each other as you walk toward the wild edges of life. And that holding is magic. So, what happens when you play this post-chaos dance well? You become a creator in the fire instead of fuel for it. You learn the language of threshold activation. You carry sacred disruption rather than casual breakdown. You realize the devil's game is never against you, it's through you. It's alchemy. Energy moves. You evolve. This turning point demands a radical truth. You weren't designed to live without chaos, you were designed to live through it. It's not a glitch in your code, it's your initiation. The devil knocks. It offers collapse. But when you say yes to mastering the game, you move from victim to sovereign. In the next segment, we'll descend deeper to explore ancient spiritual maps, showing how chaos can initiate transformation, and how ordinary people, like you and me, can walk these paths safely and powerfully. Let's go deeper. Across history, cultures have recognized the necessity of chaos initiation. They built mythic structures and spiritual practices to hold people through the breakdown, to teach how to emerge changed but unbroken. Let's explore 3 archetypal paths of initiation through chaos. First, the hero's descent, known in ancient myth as katabasis. Odysseus sails into the underworld. Orpheus descends after Eurydice. This is the controlled plunge into darkness, the voluntary embrace of risk, challenge, unknown. It's not thrill-seeking, it's initiation. It's saying, I will see what's hidden in my underworld. When you face trauma, addiction, despair, or grief, you step into your underworld. The aim isn't safety, it's truth. You emerge not healed but integrated, whole, deeper, alive. Second, the shamanic crisis, also called spiritual emergency. A breakdown in Western life, in identity, sanity, worldview, can be the doorway to initiation. Shamans across cultures are called not through peace, but through breakdown. The collapse is the invitation. It strips away the masks and illusions. But what happens next depends on the container. With guidance, community, and ritual, you navigate. Without it, you break. The devil's game rides on chaos, but spiritual traditions teach us to befriend it. Third, the alchemical Negrido, the night of alchemy. It's the stage where old identity fragments die in symbolic putrefaction. Your ego dissolves into blackness, midday appears like midnight, until new gold emerges. This is the heart of the devil's game, death and rebirth. Alchemical texts say never gaze directly at the Negrido, or you'll despair. You hold the space for the breakdown, not fight it. You crucify yourself into purity. These paths may sound dangerous because they are, but they're ancient, they're sacred. They're the only roads to real transformation. And we moderns think we can skip them. We want shortcuts. We want the gold without the crucible. So we flirt with chaos, addiction, conflict, viral outrage without initiation. We get burned, but we haven't been guided. The result, fragmentation, burnout, resentment. The devil's game becomes a trap, but initiation is an art, and it can be learned. We don't need to go to the jungle. We don't need to become occult adepts. We can ritually structure our journeys, because initiation is less about travel and more about threshold, symbolic entry and exit with intention. Here are 3 practices. 1. Threshold rituals. Create entry points into emotional work. They might be a communal fire, a bath with intention, or a ritual depletion like a 24-hour fast. It says to your psyche, I'm entering the dark so I can come out changed. Without it, we just burn by accident. 2. Deep mentorship. Modern initiation requires guidance. A therapist, coach, elder, spiritual mentor. Someone who's been through the crucible and can hold sacred space when your chaos is raw. 3. Witnessed reflection. You don't journal casually. You testify. You speak or write in the presence of others. You hold accountability ritual, sharing your descent, your fears, your guilt, your visions. You stop isolating your shadow. You let it be witnessed. And that transforms it. When we frame our breakdowns as initiation, everything changes. We stop fearing collapse. We stop numbing our pain. We stop acting on low-grade suffering. Instead, we ask, what is breaking open within me? What intelligence wants to emerge? We enter chaos not as victims but as explorers, as artists of transformation, as conspirators with the sacred. And this is the crux of moving from being played by the devil to playing the game consciously. Not denial, not avoidance, not spiritual bypass, but aligned transformation. Now, imagine standing on the edge of your threshold. A breakdown arrives, ritual, shake-up, emotional breakdown, crisis. You can flee or you can receive. You can be consumed or you can channel. You can collapse or you can initiate. Initiation always demands courage. Initiation always demands a witness. It's messy and terrifying and exquisite. And on the other side is real freedom. In part 4, we'll confront the risks, the common traps during initiation, and how to build a safety net so you don't get swallowed by your brilliance. Ready to go deeper? Walking the path of initiation, we encounter real danger. The devil's game isn't just a metaphor. It has real-world traps that can burn us if we're not prepared. Let's explore the 3 most common pitfalls and how to build a robust safety net so your journey doesn't collapse into breakdown. 1. The isolation trap. Initiation often asks us to go inward, but isolation can become a prison. When you go through the underworld alone, your inner critic can hijack the process. You start believing the darkest voices in your head. You're broken, you're too damaged, you're not ready. To avoid this, create a support web. This is more than friends. It's the alignment circle, people who commit to love and witness your process. These are your guides, your co-conspirators in transformation, not your cheerleaders. They hold space without trying to fix or rescue you. They see you in dark moments and remember your light. 2. The overwhelm loop. Depth work pulls up trauma, wounds, and limiting patterns, fast, intense, like a storm. Without pacing, you get caught in an overwhelming feedback loop, despair, anxiety, confusion. The antidote: structural pacing, small doses of initiation followed by grounding integration. Ritual followed by rest. Emotional purge followed by nourishment. Breathwork followed by nature. You need intervals, initiation, stabilization, integration before initiating again. Rinse and repeat. 3. The vanity pitfall. When you start walking this path, others notice. Some hold reverence, others reflect envy or cult-like projections. You can be tempted to believe you're special, advanced, or enlightened. But this is just another mask of the ego. It turns sacred chaos into spiritual bypass, narcissistic drama, or even abuse of power. The remedy: radical humility practices, daily reflection on your shadows, regular accountability with your alignment circle, and honesty about your motives. Are you serving evolution or stroking an identity? When you navigate initiation with containment, pacing, and humility, you transform the game. You don't fall into breakdown, you become a channel. Your darkness becomes medicine, your wounds become wisdom, and your invitation becomes a gift to the world. Let's anchor this into practical action. Here are 3 everyday power moves to hold initiation with safety and sovereignty. A. The shadow witness ritual. Once per week, light a candle. Write the emotion or wound that wants attention. Speak it out loud. I feel invisible. I feel angry. I feel unloved. Breathe deeply. Sit in the candlelight for 5–10 minutes. Witness the darkness without judgment. Then close the ritual. Say, let this serve me, not define me, and extinguish the candle. This small ritual grounds you in process without needing to collapse to turn inward. B. The contained descent break. When emotions or chaos overwhelm, pause. Immediately pause. Ground your feet. Take 3 long, conscious inhales. Recenter by asking your system, what does my body need right now? A rest, food, a walk, help? Then do one simple restorative thing. No spiritual bypass, just hospitality to your nervous system. C. The reality check circle. Every month, connect with your supportive circle. Share one breakthrough and one stumble. Listen as much as you speak. Invite reflections. Ask for one grounding question. Am I leaning into transformation or collapse? This keeps your path real, human, and accountable. You'll find that when initiation is done with structure and love, magic happens. Not theatrical spiritual breakthroughs, but real-world transformation. New creativity, clarity in purpose, emotional resilience, deeper compassion. You begin to walk differently. You lead differently. You love differently. Through this, the devil's game becomes initiation art, not spiritual destruction. You become the artist, not the victim. The world meets you as a sovereign being, capable of wielding the energy of chaos without burning alive. In the final part, we'll wrap this journey with the spiritual integration phase. How to emerge from the chaos as an evolved human being rooted in meaning, open-hearted creativity, and deep service. Ready? Emerging from the storm of chaos, from the raw crucible of initiation, it is where true transformation begins to take root. But what happens after the breakthrough? Too often, we chase the intensity of change and forget the most sacred art of all: integration. Without it, the chaos becomes scattered pain. With it, the storm becomes wisdom. Integration is where shadow and light learn to speak. It's where the wildfire you've passed through is grounded in compassion, purpose, and creative power. This is the true alchemy, when the devil's fire becomes the soul's gold. But how do we integrate? First, reflect without judgment. Revisit your path. Journal it, speak it, honor it. Your story matters. Your darkness, your fears, your breakthroughs, they are clues, fragments waiting to become whole. Second, embody the transformation. Integration isn't just mental. It's in your breath, your posture, your presence. Move with intention. Breathe into your truth. Create something with your hands. Let the new frequency root in your body. Third, offer it in service. True transformation echoes outward. Support others. Tell your story. Let your scars become someone else's lantern, because we don't transform just for ourselves. We rise so we can lift. Here's a question I'd love to hear your thoughts on. Backhand index pointing right. What part of your chaos are you still learning to integrate? Drop it in the comments. Your words might help someone else find their way too. Remember this: the devil's game isn't punishment, it's an invitation. To wake up from the illusion of safety, to step into the wild intelligence of the soul, to dance with the darkness without becoming lost in it. Every time chaos calls, you're offered a choice. Will you collapse or create? Will you be a pawn or a player? The fire is here. What you do with it becomes your legend. If this message spoke to something inside you, like this video, share your insight in the comments, and subscribe for more deep dives into the mysteries of the mind and soul. Stay curious, stay brave, and never stop turning your shadows into light.